Okay, my friends, if there is one thing that you people like, it is overly, excessively opinionated arguments about what genre a band belongs to, and nerding out and arguing with me in the comments of like, how dare you call that band technical brutal death metal? Everybody knows they're brutal technical death metal. You call yourself the punk rock MBA, you don't know anything. And they're right. I don't know anything. It's true. I don't know anything. And today I'm going to prove that to you by giving you my definitive list of the best bands in every single subgenre of rock and metal. And I'm just going to go down the list here and give you my picks for every single one of them. Just my opinion. That's right. The poser rock MBA. And I'm going to prove to you what a poser I am by giving you my list. So in no particular order, let's start with one of my favorite genres, mall emo, as opposed to real emo. Mall emo meaning the kind of stuff that if you shopped at Hot Topic in 2007, what would you listen to? So that's like Paramore, My Chemical Romance, Alisana, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And if I had to pick one band out of the entire mall emo genre, I would say Fall Out Boy. That's who I would pick. Especially, you know, up to and including this album, I think. I know My Chemical Romance is the sort of canon pick for the best band in this genre. I would say that, you know, Welcome to the Black Parade is definitely the most iconic song, the definitive song in the genre, but I'm going to tell you why I picked Fall Out Boy. It's exactly right. My Chemical Romance is more iconic, but Fall Out Boy has better songs. Fall Out Boy has more big songs, yes, but I agree on both of those. So the best MCR song is probably better than the best Fall Out Boy song, maybe, but the thing is that MCR has quite a few mid songs and mid albums, and to be fair, so does Fall Out Boy. But Fall Out Boy, I think, is more consistent overall. That's right, and Pete got to kiss Kim Kardashian, and he also got to kiss Ashley Simpson. God knows who else Pete kissed and humped during his days as a Hollywood party boy. You remember that? You remember when he was all up in the teen magazines and TMZ, all that stuff? You remember that? Imagine where Pete Wentz's fingers have been. That's what I want to know. What would you pay to live just a single day as 2006 Pete Wentz's fingers? That's what I want to know. Now, I think MCR is great. I think Paramore is great. Panic at the Disco, not great, but they have one great song. But for me personally, when it comes to mall emo, Fall Out Boy is my pick. I think reasonable people could disagree, but that's what I would go with. Now, how about real emo? You guys know the real emo copy pasta? I won't bother reading the whole thing for you, but if you want to know what real emo is, this is it. Real emo only consists of the DC emotional hardcore scene of the late 90s screamo scene. What is known by Midwestern emo is nothing but alternative rock with questionable real emo influence. When people try to argue that bands like My Chemical Romance are not real emo while saying that Sunny Day Real Estate is, I can't help but cringe, blah, 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 blah. So it is true. It is true. The real emo copy pasta is hilarious, but it's also not wrong. It's not wrong. There is a difference between fake emo and real emo. If I was to point to one band as the example of real emo, and this part is true, this part is accurate, when it says emo belongs to hardcore, not indie, pop punk, alt rock, or any other mainstream genre, it's actually true. That is actually correct. As somebody who was there from pretty close to the beginning, I'm here to tell you that the real emo copy pasta is officially canon from here on out. And if I had to pick one band as real emo, I would pick The Promise Ring, who absolutely came from the hardcore scene. I saw them many times back in the 90s, and it was always with hardcore bands. I don't remember which ones, but you know, they played hardcore shows with hardcore bands, and it's true that emo was indeed an offshoot of hardcore, and I think just really, really, really incredible, like legitimately great songwriting. This is my favorite song by The Promise Ring, Skips a Beat. These are like cringe mid-2000s millennials who made like a homemade video for this. Very cringe, but a great song. The song is incredible. That's right. It's emotional hardcore. Oh, God, Mom, stop calling it screamo. Get out of my room and close the door. Close it all the way. Oh, Mom, close it all the way and don't ever call this screamo again. I hate you so much. Oh, and what time is dinner? No, this is a mid-2000s emo video. This is from 2008. Remember what YouTube was like in 2008? Cringe millennials and ballet flats making like poorly lit videos for Promise Ring songs. So that's my pick for the best band in real emo. Real emo is a very hit or miss genre. There's a lot of just absolute crap in the genre that like nobody would really ever want to listen to. Jimmy Eat World is also great. And they are actually real emo. Make no mistake about it. Even though they got played on MTV and stuff like that, they played with all these bands like Mineral and The Promise Ring and Sunny Day Real Estate. And like they played with all of those bands. They were unquestionably a part of the real emo scene. And, you know, if you were to say that Jimmy Eat World was the best real emo band of all time, I wouldn't argue with you. I wouldn't argue. But for me personally, it's The Promise Ring. But Jimmy Eat World, entirely valid pick too. Next, a genre that is very near and dear to my heart, which is death metal. And man, this is a hard one because I absolutely love death metal. I'm sad to say that I've been listening to death metal for over 30 years, which is horrifying to say because in my own mind, 1991 was just a few years ago. Unfortunately, it was 32 years ago. And if I was to pick one band as the best death metal band, I would say Morbid Angel, and it is indeed Morbid time. This might be their best album. Covenant, which I think is from 93, might go with this one. Napalm Death, not death metal. Napalm Death is a grindcore band. Excuse me, sir, I'd like you to leave. I think it's time for you to leave. You just misgenred a metal band, which means it is time for you to leave. Okay, sir? Okay, we'd like you to leave now. All right. There's the door. Okay. We do not allow people to miss genre bands in this restaurant. Okay, buddy? It's time to go. It's called being a good person. Okay. This is interesting because Morbid Angel actually got played on MTV kind of a lot because of Beavis and Butthead, which is pretty amazing because this is like, you know, completely legit death metal. Love this solo too. There's a cool mosh part in this one, yeah. This riff. Yeah, there's so many bands that I could have included here. You know, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, obviously, Deicide. I mean, just so many great bands. But if I had to pick one band as the best death metal band, I would say it's Morbid Angel. That's right. Trey was the first person that I remember using 7-string guitars, starting with this album, I think, I don't know, like 90 or 91, he was using 7-string ones. And yeah, so that's what I would pick. So many other great bands that I would love to include, but they're the one. That's what I'd pick. Okay, now switching things up a bit. This is one, I got in a little bit of trouble with Fat Mike for this one. When I went on Fat Mike's podcast a couple years ago, he quizzed me. He gave me a test, a punk rock test. He said, what is the best ska punk band of all time? I said Sublime, and he said, you're wrong. It's Operation Ivy. And I said, well, that's just my honest opinion. He said, I didn't ask for your honest opinion. I wanted to know what was the best ska punk band of all time. And I certainly would not disagree with somebody saying Operation Ivy. I love Operation Ivy. I think they're great, but I just think Sublime is a little bit greater, in my opinion. That's what I think. Sublime is frat boy music. Well, yes, they are frat boy music, but not by choice. I mean, you can't control who listens to your music. You know, you can't control that. Their music, their songs are just on another fucking level. You know, Operation Ivy is absolutely incredible, and I love them, but Sublime is just on another level, in my personal opinion. This whole album, you know, I mean, everything they ever did is fucking incredible.
Early in the morning, rising to the street, reason things went wrong. Got to
Love that dog too. This is one of my favorite parts when he goes, I can play the guitar like a motherfucking riot, and then he plays like the most amateur solo of all time. But just legitimately, like Bradley Nowell is one of these people that's just like an absolutely ungodly gifted songwriter. You know, one of these people that basically just everything he does is absolute fucking gold. And I don't care what anybody says. If you think this is frat boy music, that's cool, whatever. Maybe it is frat boy music. It does not change the fact Sublime is incredibly great. And also, I mean, these songs just like there's an undercurrent of darkness to Sublime that I think a lot of people miss. You know, these songs like Bad Fish, some serious like junky vibe, you know, like because, you know, he overdosed on heroin in what, 96, 97, and you can hear it. You know, it's sort of like Alice in Chains, where if you actually listen to what the lyrics are talking about and you sort of know who he was, yeah, the Alice in Chains of ska. I mean, that's what it is. Great band. When it comes to ska punk, that's my pick for the best band of all time. Sorry, Mike. Sorry to disappoint you, but that's my pick. Oh, you could also say Alice in Chains are the Sublime of grunge. Oh, I like that. I like that. Let's switch it up a little bit and let's talk about a genre that I'm not a huge fan of, which is doom metal. To make a long story short, doom metal is basically bands trying to sound like Black Sabbath without just sounding exactly like Black Sabbath, or sometimes actually just sounding exactly like Black Sabbath. I think it's kind of a derivative genre overall. For the most part, you know, I'll just pass on it. However, there is one band in this genre which I absolutely love, which is Candlemass. Of course we're watching that Candlemass clip again. Candlemass is brilliant. Absolutely hilarious video, but God, this riff is such a banger. And a great vocalist, too. What a riff. I'm non-ironically headbanging. They look like Redditors. They do, that's right. The whole squad gets together for the subreddit meetup, for the Our Atheism meetup. The unreleased Jack Black album. That's what I think this is. Wow, who knew that Jack Black was in a sick doom band? The gathering of the mods on who to ban next. You know, but what I like about this is, you know, it's just obviously they know how ridiculous this is, and they know that they're just being like complete dorks out in the fucking, you know, woods in Sweden or wherever, and they're cool with it. You know, doom takes itself way too seriously, in my opinion, you know, like a lot of metal subgenres. And just, I don't know, in general, to me, the songwriting isn't there, but Candlemass, it's there, all right. It's there. Yes, Candlemass is the immortal of doom, yes. I want to know who has that cloak. I'm going to go on eBay and get the Candlemass cloak and just wear it on a stream. Go out on the town in the Candlemass cloak. That's what I want to do when I win the lottery. I'm buying it. Okay, now, what's next? Close cousin to doom metal, black metal. This is fresh on my mind because I just made a video about black metal. Now, a lot of people think that I hate black metal, and that's kind of true. Kind of true. It's not that I hate black metal, I just have very high standards for it. What many people don't know is I have been listening to black metal. I wouldn't say I listen to black metal a lot, but I listen to black metal some. And I heard black metal almost 30 years ago now. I think I heard it in maybe 1995, I think. Right around when this album came out, which I would pick as, in my opinion, the best black metal band of all time, in my opinion, is Emperor. And what's interesting, I mean, everybody knows Emperor, but I feel like people don't really talk about them that much. I mean, everybody knows who they are, and I think everyone respects them, but you always hear like Mayhem or Dark Throne or maybe Satyricon or something like that come up. I feel like Emperor doesn't really come up as often as they should. You would say that the general take on black metal is juvenile in my video. Well done. Well done. I like it. Level 9,000 condescension on your part. Impressive. I can sense your butt pain through my screen. Tell me about the exact sensation of the pain in your butt. Is it more of like a stinging pain? Is it like a stabbing pain, or more like a dull ache in your butt? Tell me more about how your butt is hurting. I need to know more details about the type of anal pain you're experiencing. Like a hot knife. Okay, well, that sounds right. Anyway, yeah, I would say, in my opinion, when I think of the classic black metal sound, I think Emperor did it the best. They weren't the first. I mean, I know, you know, like there's like Mayhem and whatnot, you know, that were earlier and whatever, but I think Emperor did it best, especially on this album, In the Nightside Eclipse. Like, you know, you listen to like the riffing and the synths in this, and it's just, I don't know. And the cover art too feels like the coolest D&D campaign in the world. That's right, they all ask who is the Black Wizards, but they never ask how is the Black Wizards, huh? How about just once somebody asks how are the Black Wizards? Is that so much to ask? This cover does go unreasonably hard, it's true. I love this album. I feel like we definitely need this as some Elden Ring DLC, right? Like the Nightside Eclipse DLC for Elden Ring. I would buy it. I would buy it. The low quality symphonic parts hit different. Yeah, no, but that's exactly right. Those like kind of amateurish, like crappy, like synth hits, like legitimately, I think sound way better than if they were like well done, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my pick as the best black metal band of all time. I would choose Emperor. My favorite black metal band of all time, though, is Have a Hedge. I like Have a Hedge and Vaughn a lot, but if I had to pick one as the best to represent the genre, I would say Emperor. That's what I would pick. Now, how about another extremely nerdy genre for men with beards who have never touched a boob and will never touch a boob as long as they continue to be nerds? How about Shoegaze? This is a genre that I think overall is kind of not great. You know, I think sort of like Doom, it's really more about vibe than it is like actually being good. It's more about kind of emulating an aesthetic and a sound than it is actually writing good songs, in my personal opinion. Obviously, many people disagree with me. And people say, hey, when you talk about shoegaze, how come you always mention My Bloody Valentine? And there's a reason for that, because in my opinion, My Bloody Valentine is the best band in the genre. I wouldn't say that they're like necessarily like an S tier band in my opinion, but as far as shoegaze goes, I think they're good. Not amazing, not great, but good. You know, it's one of these things like, would you listen to this just for the song? I would not listen to this just for the song, but it is a good vibe. The video is a cool vibe. It's a cool aesthetic. I get the appeal. I get the appeal of it. I just think, you know, unless you're the type of person that wants to fuck somebody's pedal board, the appeal of shoegaze, I think, is kind of limited. And I'm sure now that I mention it, I'm like, well, the kind of people that listen to this stuff probably do want to jerk off on a pedal board. So, maybe that does explain a few things. I just watched the Trash Theory video on shoegaze. Very good, but only like a dozen relevant bands. That sounds high. I don't even know that there's a dozen relevant shoegaze bands. I think it's probably more like half a dozen at most, right? But anyway, that's my pick. I'm not an expert on the genre by any means. Not my cup of tea, obviously. You know, not the worst thing in the world. Not the best thing in the world, but you know, as far as the genre goes. By the way, if you're wondering why people call it shoegaze, you see this fella here in his Montclair jacket staring down at the floor, gazing at his shoes right here. That's why they call it shoegaze, because they sit there gazing at their shoes or their pedal boards. Now, how about post-hardcore? That's obviously a huge, huge, huge genre. You know, it's tough to really pick just one band because it encompasses so much. I mean, you could argue that Fugazi were sort of the inventors of post-hardcore, maybe, or defined post-hardcore as we think of it. It's probably what I would say. Maybe not the very first post-hardcore band, but I would say probably the definitive post-hardcore band. But here's the thing, Fugazi is not good. Not good. True story. The first time I heard Fugazi, I literally thought it was a joke because, you know, the vocals like, I thought it was something that one of my friends like overdubbed on top of a tape, like for a joke. And it was like, no, dude, it's the guy from Minor Threat. I'm like, what? Who would listen to this? This is horrible. I'm not a huge fan of the genre in general, but if I was to pick one band, and in particular one album that to me really holds up as an example of post-hardcore, I would say that it's You're Only Chasing Safety by Under Oath. That's what I would say. Especially, I think this is the best Under Oath song on the best Under Oath album. Mom, you could... Oh, we just had this conversation, Mom. I just told you I am not seen, I'm emo, and I just told you Under Oath is not screamo. They are post-hardcore, Mom. How many times do I have to tell you this, Janet? I'm getting sick of it. Now, please tell Steven that I would like to borrow the car this weekend to go to the mall with my friends. And also, please do not put my emo tapes on the floor of the car, okay? Oh, I hate living with you. I hate this house. I hate both of you. I can't wait to move out. Also, we're out of Uncrustables. Oh, I didn't like this band at the time because I thought they were the G word. You know, that's what we called them at the time. We called them the G word. We don't use that word anymore, but back in 2004, it was still socially acceptable to use it, and that's what we called them. Over time, I've come around. I think it's solid. I think it's a damn good album. So that's what I would pick as the best post-hardcore band of all time. It'd be Under Oath. That's what I'd pick. Now, a related genre that many of you are asking about, metalcore. I could literally write a book on metalcore. In fact, if you were to transcribe all of my videos about metalcore, I've got metalcore tier lists, I've got what killed metalcore, I've done countless videos about metalcore bands. I would imagine that if you transcribed all of those, I think it probably would be more than enough for a book about metalcore. So maybe I should do that, because I'm pretty sure, here's what I should do. Here's what I should do, people. I don't think anybody's written a book about metalcore yet. So I should just transcribe all of those and publish that book using the Amazon self-publishing. And then, because it's the only book on the market about metalcore, I can say that I am the author of the best-selling book of all time on the topic of metalcore. Right? I mean, technically it's true. I would be the best-selling metalcore author of all time. But with that being said, the band that I would choose as the best metalcore band of all time, I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet here. It is Killswitch Engage. I feel like it's kind of obvious. I feel like saying anything other than Killswitch, I feel like, let's see, look, here's how you know it's a metalcore video, is there's a pretty girl in a white dress wandering around in a field looking confused. What a riff. What a riff. Those squeals. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just like such an obvious choice here. Like, there's tons and tons and tons of great metalcore bands, tons of them. But if you don't pick Killswitch as the best metalcore band of all time, I want whatever drugs you're on. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like saying anything other than Saints Row 3 is the best open world game of all time. It is universally accepted that Saints Row 3 is the best open world game of all time, right? And it should be equally universally accepted that Killswitch is the best metalcore band of all time. Okay, well, that does it, my friends, for this edition of the best bands in every single subgenre of all time, Volume 1. That's right. We'll be back soon with Volume 2 of the best bands in every single subgenre, so join us next time for that. Imagine where Pete Wentz's fingers have been. That's what I want to know.